14 biggest historical mysteries that will probably never be solved. There are some historical mysteries that may never be solved, from the date that Jesus was born to the identity of Jack the Ripper to the location of Cleopatra's tomb. Was there a real King Arthur? The story of King Arthur has been told and retold numerous times over more than 1,000 years. Camelot, the Knights of the Round Table, the Wizard Merlin and the Sword Excalibur are all famous parts of the Arthurian tales. However, if King Arthur did really exist, the reality was likely less magical. The earliest surviving accounts date to the 9th century and tell of a leader, perhaps not even a king, who fought several battles against the Saxons. Even the accuracy of these accounts is debatable. There are a number of sites in Britain that legends link to King Arthur, such as Tintagel, a coastal site that was supposedly King Arthur's home. But excavations have not confirmed whether Arthur ever lived there or even existed. Ultimately, it seems unlikely that scholars will ever know for sure whether there was a real King Arthur or whether the man was purely fictional. Who was Jack the Ripper? In 1888, Jack the Ripper killed at least 5 women in London, mutilating their bodies. A number of letters, supposedly from the Ripper, were sent to police taunting officers' efforts to find the Ripper. Whether any of them were actually written by the Ripper is a matter of debate among scholars. The name, Jack the Ripper, comes from these letters. Needless to say, the Ripper was never found, and over the years, dozens of people have been brought up as possible candidates. In his 2012 book, Jack the Ripper, The Hand of a Woman, John Morris suggests that a woman named Lizzie Williams was the Ripper, although other Ripper experts cast doubt on it. Where is Jimmy Hoffa? The Teamster Union leader known for his involvement in organized crime disappeared in Oakland County, Michigan, on July 30, 1975, and is presumed to be dead. Police and forensic anthropologists have searched a number of sites in Detroit and Oakland County to no avail. One popular theory was that Hoffa's body was buried beneath Giants Stadium in New Jersey. On October 25 and 26, 2021, FBI agents visited a former landfill in New Jersey to conduct a site survey, according to the New York Times. The survey is a follow-up to a deathbed confession by a landfill worker claiming that people had charged he and his father with burying Hoffa's body in a steel barrel under the dump in 1975. Before his death in 2006, Richard, the Iceman, Kuklinski, a hit man, claimed to have killed Hoffa and dumped his body in a scrapyard. The Guardian reported, opens in new tab. As the years go by, it appears increasingly unlikely that Hoffa's remains will ever be found. Where is Cleopatra's tomb? Image credit. Fine Art Images, Heritage Images, Getty Images. Ancient writers claim that Cleopatra VII and her lover, Mark Antony, were buried together in a tomb after their deaths in 30 BC. The writer Plutarch, AD 45–120, wrote that the tomb was located near a temple of Isis, an Egyptian goddess, and was a lofty and beautiful monument containing treasures made of gold, silver, emeralds, pearls, ebony and ivory. In 2010, Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former antiquities minister, conducted excavations at a site near Alexandria now called Taposiris Magna, which contains a number of tombs dating to the era when Cleopatra VII ruled Egypt. Archaeologists have noted that even if Cleopatra's tomb does survive to this day, it may be heavily plundered and unidentifiable. Who killed JFK? President John F. Kennedy in the presidential limousine before his assassination with his wife Jacqueline next to him. This is probably the biggest mystery in American history that will never be resolved to everyone's satisfaction. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas by Lee Harvey Oswald, although some speculate that he wasn't the only one shooting. On November 24, 1963, before Oswald could stand trial, Oswald was fatally shot by nightclub owner Jack Ruby. The most widely accepted explanation is that Oswald killed JFK on his own and Ruby killed Oswald, on his own volition. Given that significant new evidence is unlikely to appear, a firm consensus will probably never be reached. Was Caesarion truly Caesar's son? In 47 BC, Cleopatra VII gave birth to a son named Caesarion whom she claimed was the son of Julius Caesar. Cleopatra named Caesarion as co-ruler of Egypt in 44 BC, and surviving art depicts mother and son as co-rulers. Caesar never acknowledged the child as his own. Cleopatra VII died by suicide after she and Mark Antony were defeated by Octavian in 30 BC. With no remains of Julius Caesar or Caesarion surviving, it is unlikely that scholars will ever be able to determine, with certainty, whether Caesar was truly Caesarion's father. Is there a money pit on Oak Island? For more than 2 centuries, stories have circulated that Oak Island, located off Nova Scotia, Canada, held a money pit of buried treasure, supposedly left by the pirate captain. Over that time, numerous expeditions costing millions of dollars have traveled to the island searching for the lost treasure, to no avail. Related, the 10 most notorious pirates ever. A History Channel show called The Curse of Oak Island follows a modern-day expedition. The show was just renewed for a 4th season in 2016. Is the Copper Scroll treasure real? Another treasure tale that will probably never be resolved is more ancient. The scroll records a vast amount of hidden gold and silver treasure, so much, in fact, that some scholars believe that it is impossible for it to exist. There were a number of revolts against Roman rule at the time the scroll was written, and scientists have hypothesized that the treasure was hidden to prevent its capture by Roman forces. Fate of the Ark of the Covenant. In 587 BC, a Babylonian army, under King Nebuchadnezzar II, conquered Jerusalem, sacking the city and destroying the first temple, a building used by the Jewish people to worship God. The fate of the Ark is unclear. Ancient sources indicate that the Ark was either carried back to Babylon or hidden before the city was captured. Since the disappearance, a number of stories and legends about the Ark's fate have been told. One story suggests the Ark eventually made its way to Ethiopia, where it is kept today. Another story says the Ark was divinely hidden and will not appear until a Messiah arrives. When was Jesus born? While many Christians today celebrate December 25th as the birth of Jesus, he likely was not born on this day. The date December 25th may have been chosen because it's close in time to Saturnalia, a Roman festival that celebrated the god Saturn. The earliest records of December 25th being the birthday of Jesus date to the 4th century, more than 300 years after his birth. In the end, it is unlikely that the date of Jesus' birth will ever be known. In fact, even the precise year is not certain, although scholars generally agree that it was sometime around 4 BC. Were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon real? Ancient writers describe a fantastic series of gardens constructed at the ancient city of Babylon in modern-day Iraq. It's not clear when these gardens were built, but some ancient writers were so impressed by the gardens that they called them a wonder of the world. So far, archaeologists who have excavated Babylon have been unable to find the remains of a garden that meets this description. This has left archaeologists with a question: did the Hanging Gardens really exist? Over the past 2 decades, both Babylon and Nineveh have suffered damage from wars and looting, and it seems unlikely that this mystery will ever be fully solved. Is there a city of Atlantis? Writing in the 4th century BC, the Greek philosopher Plato told a story of a land named Atlantis that existed in the Atlantic Ocean and supposedly conquered much of Europe and Africa in prehistoric times. While no serious scholar believes that this story is literally true, some have speculated that the legend could have been inspired, in part, by real events that happened in Greek history. One possibility is that the Minoan civilization, as it's now called, which flourished on the island of Crete until about 1400 BC, could have inspired the story of Atlantis. Although Crete is in the Mediterranean, and not the Atlantic, Minoan settlements suffered considerable damage during the eruption of Thera, a volcano in Greece. Additionally, archaeologists found that the Minoans were eventually overcome, or forced to join with, a group of people called the Mycenaeans, who were based on mainland Greece. It's unlikely that this debate will ever be fully settled. What was Jesus really like? Where is the Holy Grail?